All right. Good morning, guys. Looks like we're live. Let me see here. Already got a bunch of people hanging out in the chat. That's awesome. It's Thursday, September 23rd. Hard to believe this week is almost over. Been kind of a good week so far, for trading at least. Even for CLOV. CLOV saw a little action yesterday. We'll talk about a little bit of everything right now. Noar's in here. Looks like getting some breakfast already. Your pal Al. Michael, what's up? La Clova Nostra. I love it. 6-8 spin drift. Says thanks for the chalk talks. Yeah. I just had some extra time yesterday and I thought might as well knock some out. I haven't had much free time lately, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. I still got a lot more that I want to do. But I figured that at least if I can get a couple done, it'd be something. Let's see. JG, what's up? Scotty Z's in the house. Louis, Div by Zero, Wabistics, and KLF. Thank you again for joining me this morning. Peter Meekus, what's going on? So just looking around, first off, so close ended yesterday at 788. Had kind of a big day. Big for what we've been seeing recently. Nice climb here, coming off 783, ended up coming up to 813, I think was the high. But we had in pre-market hit 814 previously when that news first got dropped about the approval for the expansion. So either way, we saw a pickup in volume. Right now on CLOV, volume is, and it's still super early, volume's not even 103,000. So, 100,000, it's at 73. So, still got some, some time left in here, but we did see an uptick in volume yesterday. We're starting to see things pick up a little bit. Let me turn this one off. I got to get... There we go. Too much stuff. I've just been going through and fixing some of my pre-settings this morning. That's what took me so long to get on. SMJ, good morning. Turts McGurts, good morning. So yesterday, and also like this week in general, like I said, it's been kind of a good week. Two of the bigger plays that I was on was RKLY on Monday. And this was a nice run up on Tuesday. Yesterday, it started giving some back. I was hoping to see it get to 1250. I ended up getting out somewhere. Where we at? I saw it make this next push to 1040, and I jumped out somewhere around here, around $10. I'm gonna be looking to get back in RKLY if I see it kind of break out today. So I'm keeping that on the watch list for today because I still think this has squeeze potential. I just didn't want to be sitting in it overnight if it was going to be falling down. Now, the other one, huge one yesterday that made a big move was, and I'm on a 1 minute candle here, but ATER. Okay, so this was one we were talking about in pre-market yesterday. I don't know where it was, but my fill price was somewhere around, I think, 1360. So somewhere around here, and this thing was just ripping all day. Kind of held through some volatility, because I really did, like I said yesterday, I thought the setup was perfect. And there we go. We started hitting the gamma squeeze going into after hours yesterday. It did get up to 1876. It's funny because I had originally said, I threw it on the Discord and I was just like, man, I'm still holding ATER. And then when I saw this little cross right here, let me pull this up. As soon as I saw it cross under on the 1 minute, I kind of figured, okay, maybe the run's over. And then when it lost this moving average, that's when I chose so I ended up cutting half. So I have half my position out right now of ATER, but I did hold the other half overnight because I still think that this thing has the potential to rip up right now. We are trading lower than where we ended yesterday. So no need to worry about a gap fill. If anything, we might see a fill up. If I pull up the options chain on that one right now, basically yesterday's gamma squeeze, it's like it never happened. The one that came in after hours. And I think, especially because options can't be traded overnight, we're probably looking at maybe somewhat of a repeat today if it can get that movement upwards to 16 again off the open. So if we can get back in there, there's a ton of options here. This is actually more open interest than what we saw yesterday, and I really think that it's got the potential to push this thing above 35. So that half that I have in right now, my intention is to hold in case we get a nice big run up to 35. However, my cost average is 1360. I'll be looking to probably cut that. I'm not going to take a loss on that. So just something that I'm going to sit here and watch. I already got some nice profits off that first run up that we saw yesterday. And I might be looking to get out the rest if we start dipping down too low and then look for another entry point. This was one that I was jumping into kind of with the intention of holding because of the squeeze potential. And, that was a nice run yesterday. I hope some of you guys were able to get a piece of that, even if you jumped on late and just day traded it. That was also one on the day trade watch list as well yesterday. All right, so let me see who else is in here. E-Money, good morning. Jim Larson, Skip C. KLF says, odd question. How do you get the MACD red and green on Schwab? I can only find how to change it to a single color on Schwab. Let me see. So if you come over here on your Street Smart Edge and you open up this little side tool, you should be able to add any study. Let's say I want to add the MACD. Go to MACD histogram. I believe that's the one. Let me see. That's blue. Let's try this other one. MACD. Blue and red. So now you would go in here and you could change it to green and red or whatever you wanted. But like right now, if I hit OK, is that what you're talking about? Being able to change that. But you could change those colors by going into the settings. And then you have these options here where you could change the colors. And you could do that with anything, actually. So like my volume, if right now it's green and red, if I wanted to change the colors on that or really anything, you can get in there and change. Al Trades is in here. What's up, man? Good morning. Let's see. Kimster, good morning. Yeah, Scotty Z's coming on tomorrow, Friday. Big Nate, Pete. Pete says, "Good. What's up? Green Day coming. Let's build on yesterday." Yeah, I'm pretty excited about CLOV right now. I really am. We're trading right around max pain right now, but I mean that was some huge news yesterday. And again, I think KLF's talking about the bars on the histogram. Kind of like how I have them here. You mean how they're red and green? Let me check one more time. Because I know on mine, I want to say this is, so just so you know too, like right now, this is Street Smart Edge Schwab. When I click here, this is TD Ameritrade. This is Thinkorswim. I'm using two softwares right now. Don't ask me why. I'm just weird. I have like preferences that I like on certain stuff, and So if I hit OK, and they just come in blue. I don't know. I'll play around with that though, and I'll try to figure it out for you. You know who might be a good one to ask too is Degenerate, because he's been using Street Smart Edge a lot longer than I have. All right, so let's take a look here. So yeah, with CLOV, that was some huge news. You know, there was also the ALEA conference earlier this week, and I really have a feeling that again we're just going to see more institutional buying and more, you know, the Wall Street coming in and seeing that this company is, you know, what we've been saying it is for a while, and we're going to see the, you know, the overall sentiment from the big boys change, and more people, and at some point it's just going to be too much, you know, too much for short sellers to sit here and churn the FUD about. So I think we just kind of sit back and wait. You know, I mean, we've been saying this for so long. You know how undervalued this play is, and nothing's really changed. It's just been nothing but positive news coming out about the stock, and positive sentiment and everything else. And you know, we're getting an opportunity to buy this up, to buy the dip, to you know, it's been trading in this range for so long down here near 8, and you know, I think we're kind of the early ones that are getting an opportunity to get in on something big. That's the way I look at it, and we talked about this a little bit on Degenerate Spaces yesterday. This was kind of the topic of conversation, and you know, even how, like I was saying myself, I'm more of a you know, a trader by nature. I always have been. I've never been more of a, you know, buy something and hold. Yeah, a swing trade, but, you know, in most of my swing trades, if not all of them, I would have exited by now. You know, on some of these drops in CLOV, or even just the loss of momentum that we've seen. But CLOV has just been different. You know, it's just when you look at the fundamental side of it and how grossly undervalued it is, it's like, I don't mind, you know, treating this one like an investment and just adding on to it and adding on to it and adding on to it. And, you know, it almost, again, this isn't financial advice, and I want to be careful in what I say here, but to me, this seems like guaranteed. It really does. Like, you're going to buy into this stock right now, and at some point, you know, this thing's going to double or triple in the short term, maybe even more than that. And then who knows what it's going to be worth long term, but I'm thinking triple digits for sure. And also, if something that, like, you know, if you end up holding some for the really long term, like, you know, 5 to 10 years, you know, I think this stock's going to be a millionaire maker. I really do. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? That's not, again, not financial advice, but that's it's just a kind of a different beast, and that's why I've just been continuing to kind of hold. Yeah, I've been trading other stuff, but, you know, usually I'm just coming back with some of my profits from the trades, and building into my position even more. So anyways, let's look at some of today's pre-market stuff. I kind of already this morning was looking at some of the scans, kind of cross-referencing with some of the stuff L Train's been sending to me from his scanner, and looking at some other things. So, first off, you know, I was looking at social sentiment this morning. Nothing really changed. Looks like BlackBerry's been popping up on Wall Street Bets a lot. I've been looking at it and haven't really seen much there. Let me pull this up. It did hit a nice little pop yesterday, it looks like, but um, yeah, I don't know. That was one that was popping up. SDC keeps popping up, and I mean, that's one that was a squeeze play. We've been looking at it as a, you know, a day trade opportunity throughout the last couple of days. That's been pretty high on social sentiment. And you have Workhorse, PLTR. Love was one that popped up today that I haven't looked at all. Wow. Not sure what's going on with that one, but yeah, that was one that looks pretty interesting. I might do a little bit more research into that, but that popped up on the social sentiment one today that I hadn't previously heard about, but um, looks like it's on a nice run there. All right, so FINTEL squeeze, kind of the same plays, ATER, KPLT, BBIG. But the real big ones, the ones that I was looking for today in terms of, trading opportunities that I liked. MRM was at I just clicked on Apple. Bear with me. Tired this morning. MRM was one that pulled up on my scanner this morning. I mean, hardly any volume in previous days, and all of a sudden started popping in after hours. It's up almost 100% right now. This could be one of those opportunities similar to what we talked about with MRIN yesterday. If you were watching yesterday, I had talked about with MRIN after being up so big in after hours to kind of stay off of it, let it kind of base out, fall down, find a bottom, and then look for some opportunities to play it on the way up. I didn't play MRIN yesterday, but it did offer it did give us that opportunity. And this is pissing me. Oh, I still got to close this. Like, why is my chart so damn small? We did kind of get that opportunity yesterday for anyone who wanted to get in there and day trade this thing. I'm having a rough time right now this morning, guys. Sorry. You saw there were some opportunities in here. We had hit a low at 834, ran up to 950. Maybe even something in here. It never really broke above VWAP though, which is what I usually like to get into. I'd like to be trading above VWAP. Sometimes when I see these bottoms though, I'll get in a trade and then jump in and try to ride something up to VWAP. And it looks like that's where it was catching resistance yesterday. But there was still, that's a dollar movement on like a $8 to $9 stock. That's pretty damn good. That's more than 10% there. And, you don't even need to be involved in the whole 10% when you're jumping in and out of trades. You grab 2-3%. Even that's a big one. So, this was one that was on the watch list yesterday. And I guess what I'm getting at is with MRM, I would imagine we might see something similar. That's a huge gap. From $7.30 right now, it's up to $14. It's almost up 100%. I would potentially look for this thing to start coming down for a gap fill and then look for some bounce back to ride that thing up if you were going to get in and out of some trades on that. The other one that I really liked, let's see here. AMC popped up on the scanner a couple times. Looks like it's off now though. I don't know what's going on there. I had originally put it on my watch list because usually when it pops up, those are days where it might run. So I might be looking at that one a little bit today. And then kind of the ones that we've been looking at. ATER I really like. Again, I'm still holding half my position right now. I still think it's got room for another breakout, especially because a lot of this happened in after hours. This gamma squeeze that we saw, we're going to have that potential again today if we can get back above these levels here. And it's going to be trying to gap fill up as well. So could be some really nice trades in here on ATER today, even if you don't want to hold and you just want to kind of jump in and out. That might be a good one to look at. And I talked about RKLY a little bit already earlier. I closed out my position. I still think it has potential. I'm going to be watching that one for a breakout, even though it's not popping up on the scanner. And if all of a sudden it hits volume and starts popping back up above this $10 mark, I think things can really get interesting there. That was a play from Monday that I entered in at $9 and, was able to cash a little bit on, but I think it's got potential to kind of make this run again. extremely low float, a lot going on in the options chain. Other than that, the only other ones that I'm really going to keep on my watch list today, unless I see something in the chat, is EAR popped up this morning. That's a gap down. Okay, so I mean, if you look, the stock was trading at 21. It's now down to $8.09. Huge gap down here, and again, 9 times out of 10, you see gaps get filled. I'm not saying buy this stock and ride it up to 21. I'm not thinking that's going to happen, at least not today. But you're going to get an opportunity in here, in my opinion, if there's enough volume pumping into this stock to maybe see some sort of the same exact reverse effect of what we saw with MRIN yesterday, right? So MRIN dumped off the open. I think we're going to see a little bit of a, maybe push upwards off the open on this one, and you might be able to get some trades in, riding it up or down today. A lot of volatility here when you got a stock that's gapping down almost 60%. So that's what's going to be on my watch list. I'm going to look at the chat here right now and see if anybody else called out anything else, because sometimes we find some nice stuff in there. But again, my watch list for the day is MRM, AMC, ATER, RKLY, EAR, and MRIN. I'm going to go back to MRIN and just see if there's anything else happening in there. Let's see here. All right, Altrades is saying that Aaliyah call is today. We got Holiday Option. What's up? Good morning. Alex, what's up? Big Nate says bored billionaires putting out a ton of stats on LIDR, trying to squeeze it good. Very low float, up 35% already this week. I bought in yesterday. Yeah, I saw him tweeting about that, and I mean, dude's been on fire. He was the one that called out RKLY and brought my attention to it. And I know he started tweeting about he's a good dude to follow on Twitter. Anyone who's not, it's Bored Billionaire. He started calling it out somewhere around here yesterday, LIDR. And I mean, that thing started ripping. I just didn't have enough time yesterday to really look into it and see, what opportunities existed there. I don't know if that's a short squeeze candidate or not. Let me take a look at Ortex on that one. Looks like cost of borrows through the roof. Utilization's 99. But Ortex is showing a ridiculously low short interest, only 1%. Now, that could be one of those things with the, with that whole de-SPAC type thing that we're seeing with a lot of these squeezes right now. That could be the case. I just don't know enough about this one. It might be a huge play. I mean, Bored Billionaires have been all over stuff right now. I might do some research into that later. Chaley saying check out MMAT. Let me take a look at that one. So it looks like MMAT started pumping again yesterday. Now I know if Al Trades is still in the chat, I know he's been playing MMAT. I never got involved in MMAT. I read a little bit about it when they were doing that thing with TRCH. And I just never played that one. Don't know enough what's going on with it. Cuckoo Bird, what's up? Good morning. Trending Stock News says, what scanner are you using? Right now, I'm just looking at like a top 10 volume scanner. It's kind of, and it's showing, a little bit. There's some other settings that are in there, but it's showing volume that's kind of unusual volume that pops up. And that's where a lot of times I'll see stuff. Other times I'll look at gappers. I went through a lot of these scanners earlier. But really, when I trade and look for stocks to day trade, Nice. So ATER got a nice bullish crossover. I'd like to see this get above VWAP and get back in that range. If we can get like close to where it closed yesterday and get some momentum going into the open, I think ATER is going to be another runner today. But yeah, so with scanners, a lot of times what I'm looking for really is you want to day trade stuff that's got high volume, right? You want to day trade. Gappers usually provide that. If you get something that gaps up tremendously overnight or gaps down, a lot of times with volume, those will give some good opportunities because they're going to widen the range of where that stock's going to trade on a daily basis. So if you look at, like, for instance, CLOV recently, it's trading in like a 30-cent range, maybe like, from 780 to 810 or something like that. But then you go check out like a ATER. What the hell's going on here? Let me zoom out. All right. I got to change my chart settings over here. But if you look at, some of these other plays, I'll even pull up. Let me see. So 5 minutes, 5 days. So ATER. And let me zoom in on this. It was providing some range yesterday of like $15.65 down to $14. So $1.65 there. You want to look for things that are gonna, provide room for you to get in and get out, whether it be from the bottom up to VWAP, from VWAP up to the high of the day, back down, like just, giving you some entry and exit points, and it's going to provide the most range possible. So that's typically what I look for. And so what I'll do is kind of, evaluate the volume. Gappers sometimes will give me that. Sometimes unusual volume, then you'll find something that's got news and, maybe is going to provide some extra volume boost in there. But really, it's all about finding the range. And I mean, there's been times last year where even like a stock like Facebook, I wouldn't even scan every day. I'd just kind of get on a Facebook and, you'd see like, I'm not going to go all the way back, but I'll just show you. A stock like Facebook would maybe trade from 360 down to 350 every day and then back up to 360 and back down, and it would just kind of pop right between here all day long. And there's more than enough volume in a stock like that to just kind of jump in and ride those waves all day. Get in, get out, short it down, jump back in, buy it on the way back up. Doesn't look like it's been trading like that recently. I haven't been watching it in a while, but actually it looks like this day here kind of provided that action. That was one that I think this was like back in like February or March. I spent like 2 weeks straight because the range on it was just wide enough, and much wider than this. This is only about $5 right here. It had like a $20 range, and you could just sit there and ride it back and forth. All right, there we go. Julio Cruz, what's up? Good morning. David Johnson, DJ Tardis, Holiday Option says I follow Board. Yeah, Board Billionaire. That dude, he's been on fire lately. I want to say he even called out IRNT. I didn't get involved, or I didn't see his tweet on that one. I found IRNT on some of these scanners, but I also didn't get in on the big movement of IRNT. I think he had tweeted that one out too. So he's been on top of his game right now, and I know I've been checking his Twitter account just to see what he's looking at next. I just didn't have any time to do any research yesterday on let's see here. Take a look at this scanner real quick now and see if anything else popped up. So AMHC wasn't on there earlier, but there it is right there. 47% change. 10 million float. Looks like it started gapping up this morning. Acquisition shareholders approved pending SPAC merger. So again, nice gap up here. Starting to see volume. Closed yesterday at 10. That's like a 50%, 48% gap up. This might be another one worth looking into. So I don't know. I'm gonna add this one onto the watch list and kind of just leave it there. That's already too many for me. Usually, if I'm looking at too many stocks, I'll never find an entry point, and I'll end up not trading anything. That's just me though, and it's just because I'm not sitting there focusing all day. I'm trying to do too many other things, and I'm gonna take a look at the daily chart on that one though too, real quick. So, oh wow. So it looks like we were trading down over 9. Got some news in here recently, and now all of a sudden you got to figure we're looking at 1140 being the top of this chart. It's gapped up to 15 this morning, and it looks like that could be potentially all-time highs there. So your pal says if you're looking at too many tickers, you'll fall behind in the chat. Absolutely, and I never want to do that. But no, I when it comes to like day trading and stuff, right? I think the big thing, if you're gonna try to get in on like, and really that's what these scanners we're looking at right now are for, is opportunities to get in and out of a stock like within intraday, right? So there's so many stocks out there. You're never gonna always time it and catch the right one unless you're doing more of fundamental swing trade type analysis. Like for instance, if you were looking for ATER as a potential play to jump into yesterday, and you were doing it as a day trader, you might have played up here, got out, played it up again. You probably wouldn't even been in for this entire run. This was more of a, hey, this is a squeeze play, let me get into it. That's a little different. But with a lot of these ones that we're catching on the scanner right now, this is all about momentum, being able to find entry points in something, just opportunities to day trade throughout the day. And when you're looking for stocks like that, like I just put together a watch list of 8 stocks, and there's no way. Usually I'll try to narrow that down to 4 and keep 4 up on my screen. And it's a totally different, animal, because now you're just looking for, maybe draw out like some support lines and figure out where you think you're going to be able to get in, where you think you're going to catch resistance. You want to have level 2 up so you could see where you're going to catch resistance at, maybe where there's some walls at, and get out ahead of time. And it's really hard to do that when you're looking at too many of them. So right now I got my list down to 8. I'm probably going to realistically maybe even cut it down to 2. And that's why I haven't been day trading a lot these last couple of days. There's been some great opportunities in a lot of these stocks that we found, but yesterday I was pretty consumed with watching ATER and then CLOV, because that started moving, and it's always hard to ignore when CLOV's moving around. So I missed out on a lot of those other moves. One thing I do want to, while we got some time here, we're still only at 5:30, so we got quite some time before the market opens. But the SPY, okay. So anyone who was watching earlier this week, I did talk about, I grabbed some SPY puts. I sold half of them for a pretty decent profit. I'm still holding the other half because they're for December, and I'll show you what I'm looking at right now. Actually, let me get to a bigger chart here. Okay, So what do we got? A CLOV, ATER. I don't want BBIG down there. We'll throw on, let's see what's going on with VIH this morning. Nothing. No volume. All right. There we go. There's MRM. All right. So the SPY. Actually, even before then, I should even say. So I ended up, not only did I grab those SPY puts, but I cut a lot of my my other plays. So like DraftKings, I got out. That ended up working out pretty well. I mean, you can see it's all the way down here to 51 now. But let me get up this daily view. All right. So what I was kind of looking at here was, again, every time the SPY comes down and dips, it always ends up kind of settling right around, the top of the previous dip. And I was just kind of looking at a pattern there, in that, yeah, we've been seeing dips, but it seems like it always comes down and settles near the top of the other one. It never really dips below. And on Monday, we saw it dip below. Now, I know people are probably like, oh, well, the SPY's ripping back. It's ripping back. Well, I mean, right now we're gapping up, and we still haven't filled this gap that exists right here at 441 where it started to gap down on Monday morning. So that's the big one for me. That's what I'm going to be looking at. If all of a sudden we fill this gap and we close up here and keep on moving up, then I'll start to get back into some of my other positions. Go buy my DraftKings back, go get some other stuff. But I mean, right now, I'm really just playing this like it's a gap fill, and I'm waiting to see what happens. I'm not ready to say this little mini correction is over, and I still think this has the opportunity to be a correction right now. I mean, I was thinking about 10%, which would drop us down to 410 levels down here. So there's still a lot more room to go. And, I'm kind of indecisive right now on what's going to happen. So I took a lot of my plays off the table, and they're still sitting off the table right now. Because this could very easily just be a gap fill right now. And then once it hits this resistance at 441, we could see this thing come tumbling back down and, going down even deeper. So just something I'm keeping my eye on right now. Let me pull up, talk about CLOV a little bit right now. Make sure I got these ones all set up. So, what was the other play I was looking at? All right, that's good. So, with CLOV yesterday, we saw a nice big run up. Like I said, didn't get to the 814 level that we got in pre-market when we got that news, but we did come up and touch 813, which is 1 penny less. Not that big of a deal. Had a little bit of momentum yesterday. I think we still ended green, and this morning, right when the market opened around 1 a.m., we saw a nice little spike up. Not seeing a ton of volume right now. 122,000. I mean, that's not insane or anything like that. We could pull up Vortex. I've kind of stopped looking at CLOV Vortex. It's because I feel like we've gotten to that realm of manipulation where it doesn't really matter. Unless all of a sudden we just see like a ton of shares available, and for some reason there's no short interest in the stock at all anymore. But utilization's still sitting somewhere around 84%. Cost to borrow, nothing major there. So there's not a lot going on. There's still 53 million shares on loan. We've seen that number get into the, I think, mid 60s now. It's been pretty damn high. So I would imagine there's still a ton of shares available, but you got to remember these shares are being lent out from, other institutions and hedge funds or whoever may own, shares, and a lot of shares have been changing hands lately. So it could be a case where less shares are available because some buyers are taking them off the table, or some are actually making new ones available, and that's why it's really hard to gauge when you're following a stock this closely, what's actually there, and why sometimes it can get a little frustrating. Maximum pain right now for CLOV. It was 8 yesterday. It's 8 again today. Um, you know, we broke above it. We got some good news yesterday. Still no big institutional filings coming in on CLOV. This week, we just saw one report from Nationwide Mutual Funds, but it looks like not much of anything. But what I would imagine is this. I'm looking at all these numbers and everything, and whatever. Here's what I expect with CLOV. Yesterday's news was huge. It really was. I mean, and this was news that we were talking about on here going back 2 months. They're expanding they're basically doubling their geographic footprint. They've made plans to double their geographic footprint. Well, now they've got approval to do so. And so if you think about the growth that we just saw in that last quarter, where, they doubled their lives under management, right? 140% revenue increase year over year. And they did that in their current geographic footprint, right? Like in the 109 counties they were working in. Now they have approval. They're going to be expanding into 209 counties. That's huge for not only revenue, and the growth of the company in regards to the insurance side, but also on the tech AI side. That gives more lives for the AI to manage, to the AI to learn and grow from. So, I think yesterday's news was huge. We had already known it was coming, but now we got this approval. And again, every time stuff like this happens, you're going to see more and more institutions, more and more of Wall Street start to open their eyes and say, wow, look at CLOV, look what they're doing. Or maybe even there's institutions that were sitting back waiting to see, okay, they've got some pretty big growth plans looking to double, but let's see if they get that approval. And now they did. And maybe now we'll see some people coming off the sidelines getting in to buy this stock. So either way, yesterday's news was huge. And I really would expect that the next thing that's coming is going to be an analyst upgrade, right? And we saw what an analyst upgrade can do to a stock yesterday. When we got Lucid, all of a sudden just came out with some big upgrade and the stock popped tremendously, and I think that's all it's going to take with something like CLOV, is someone coming in and putting a realistic price target on here, and then we'll get some real movement. Let's see here. LF Bell, what's up? David Johnson says, what are you doing today about ATER? I missed what he said. So for me, with ATER, I took half off yesterday, right around here somewhere. I sold half my position, chose to hold the rest into the, overnight, because I really think this has some potential to keep running. At this point, I'm looking, if we can break 20, maybe we can get upwards of like 30. So, it was hard not selling here. But now it seems to be trending back up. And, I'm already in a profitable state now to where, I don't think I can lose, just because of the profits that I already took. But, yeah, I'm going to play this out. I mean, it's gapping down. So it's down about, 90 cents off of what it came down on, or what it closed at yesterday. But what I think the opportunity here is this: if it takes off and starts running again today, that same gamma squeeze that we saw yesterday, which is exactly what started happening when it was getting this climb in after hours, we have the potential to see that again today. So If we can get past, it almost seems like once we broke this 1670 mark is, when the option chain kind of took over. And there's actually more open interest in this stock today than there was yesterday. At least now that we can see the numbers. I mean, a lot of volume came flowing in and everything else. So, again, I think if we can, if it starts moving early on and starts ripping up, I would look for that same exact movement and maybe even, to carry a little bit higher. You'll see some FOMO buying in and some retail pouring in to create more volume and more pressure upwards. And really, really, if we pass 20, like I said, I think it's got the potential to maybe move us up to 35 because, even the delta on this 9,000 right here being at 29 right now, if we get upwards of 20, that's going to pull it up to like 42. Those are all just shares that are going to start getting accumulated. And we're just looking at one chain right now. If we go through and look, all this kind of plays into effect too. And it's at that point, like max pain for this is at $10. We're well past that. We've got a lot of contracts in the money right now, and the higher they go, the closer they're going to get into those nines, which will help drive it up. Now, that being said, obviously this thing could backfire and get pushed down to max pain. One of the things that I liked about it from the start was that it was so far above max pain, it looked like they already lost control. Right now we're like 60% above max pain. I'm definitely not going to take a L on this one. I'll tell you that much. Like my entry point yesterday was 1360. Like I said, I got half out in the high 17s. I'm going to be looking to ride it back up today. And honestly, if I see it start breaking up and looks like it's ready to squeeze, I might even throw some more into it. But as of right now, I'm just holding this half. With a mental stop loss of I'm not going to take a loss on these half these shares. I won't be holding them like below $14, but I really think this has the opportunity to run, especially because it might be looking to fill that gap up to 1672 once we open up. And I think if it gets in that range, it's going to take off. Hope that answered your question. Steve the Baker, let's go. Big Nate says double geographic footprint but low population in Alabama. On Twitter Space, some dude said it was like 20 to 25% more population they'll cover. I mean, that's still no, and I get it too. That's not. I'd like to hear the the whole deal. I don't want to just get things sugar coated. So I appreciate it. I must have missed that because I had the Twitter Spaces on for a little bit yesterday, and I was popping in and out, and I probably missed that that portion of it. But no, that's I mean, still 25%, in terms of population that they can get to. And then to look at what they've done just in the area that they've been at so far. I just think it's been nothing but good news from this company for quite some time now. And at some point, the price action has to reflect it. Looks like ATER is starting to pop up right now, too. So why does this one keep showing up on my screen? It's driving me crazy. Six Eight Spindrift says, I heard that Aaliyah Capital conference calls today. Didn't happen last Monday. Yeah. Al Trades actually just said that in the chat too a little while ago. So that's awesome. So I mean, even that might end up now with the Aaliyah Capital call. I don't know if we're actually gonna hear anything about it. But what that is that's they're gonna have some investors there, almost like a sales pitch type thing. I think probably a Q&A, but either way, they'll be able to hear about the company, maybe find out a little bit more about the tech side of it, see that this is a technology driven company and the growth that they're looking at with health insurance and everything else. And, again, That's what we want. We want these big institutions. We want Wall Street to finally realize what's going on with this stock and flip the script, because right now they've been trying to pin this thing down. And that happens for multiple reasons, or could happen for multiple reasons. I mean, who knows why, but there's been some speculation, which I kind of, maybe agree with too, that, some of the big analysts that are downgrading CLOV in the past, one, were short the stock, which we found out, but two, were long some of the other big competitors. Now, a lot of these people, what they do, and same thing, what all of us should be doing, is riding these waves in these stocks, right? So they rode CLOV down, and now that CLOV is kind of in a beaten up state, you'll see them going long on the stock, flipping their positions, and then all of a sudden releasing positive analysts, or positive price targets, and then the stock will start trending in the other direction, so we just got to wait it out and see what happens. Let's see. Cuckoo Bird saying the same thing. Highly unlikely we'll get news from that conference call. It's for potential investors. If positive, we'll see more toot buyers in coming weeks. Yeah, that's my understanding too. We're not really going to get nothing out of it. We may get some buying, but we're not going to get like a press release like, oh, unless they release some new information that they were saving for this, which I kind of highly doubt. I feel like, we've been kind of getting the news as it's been coming out as well when it comes to that sort of stuff. Pete says, check out Andrew Toy's LinkedIn from yesterday. LinkedIn top startups. Let me write that down. Kamal B, what's up? Good morning, Michelle. Genetic Nate. Joey G said, let's all smash the like button for our 4 a.m. warrior. Oh, man. I'm tired today, too. It's almost 6 now. It's 5:53. All right. Pete just became a member. Right on, Pete. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. I know I haven't talked about it much on here recently, but there is a channel membership opportunity. It's just a way to support the channel. It's $5 a month. And Pete, I really appreciate it. Means a lot to me. And I've been trying to figure out ways to, make this thing worth everybody's while and give back. I did the last 2 plays that I entered into. I did, put out as messages to members of the channel, which was the RKLY on Monday and ATER on Tuesday night, ATER, and those were both pretty good. They may not always be that good, but when I see something, I'll put it on there, and that's kind of one thing that I'll definitely do. If there's a play that I like, and a lot of times it's hard. I might even start doing some of that on Twitter too. Not to get away from the membership thing, but just in general, like, I've been very busy lately, and it's hard to sit down and make a video real quick and put it out. And sometimes these things move a lot faster. So definitely, if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter, and definitely turn on your notifications on the videos, because that's probably the easiest way for me to do it. Is I can go on the community tab and just send a message, and you'll get notified if you put that little alert button on, that little bell. Then when I send it out, it'll kind of show up as a message. So that's what I've been looking to do right now. But Pete, once again, thank you. And while I'm talking about Twitter, there is a link below in the video that I just kind of put in here from, it's been in here every day now, but that's because these Twitter spaces have been amazing. So Wall Street Bet Degenerate by the F and Dip, he's been doing these Twitter spaces every day after the bell. And I mean, yesterday, I want to say there might have been 100 people on there when I logged on. And there's always different people speaking. It's always new information. You're always hearing different minds. It's really is worthwhile. It's free. Just go in there. Sometimes when I'm at work, I just throw headphones in and go on there and listen while they're talking. Kind of hear about how the markets are doing, everything else. Can't plug this one enough. So if you guys haven't already, go follow him on Twitter. And that's how you'll see when these spaces are happening. But if you go, on your Twitter page at the end of the day, you'll just see the link sitting there and you could click in and go in and listen. Really awesome. Michelle says Neuro's moving. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, it popped up on the scanner too. It's right there on the scanner, so that must have popped up recently. This is a daily view right now. Looks like we had a recent high of 40. And yesterday it closed at 12. Let's see what it's doing right now. Yeah, it is moving. Where's my news feed at? So, kind of an increase in volume. Up near 14. Anybody know what the news on that is? Why it's moving? Or is it just moving? That's a low float stock too. 5 million. So this thing can move big time once it gets going. Let me pull this over so I could take a look at it. Doesn't look like there's any news on it at all. So I'm going to pull that one up right here instead of RKLY right now, just so we can kind of evaluate this a little bit more. But yeah. Janati says, cheers from Israel. Here it's 4 p.m. All right. That's awesome. Big Nate says we're international. Pat says they're either intentionally holding back critical information at these conferences or they're god awful salesmen. I don't know that. I just think that, like, okay, so you got to think about, an insurance company, right? And a Medicare insurance company. So the type of lives that they're managing are probably some of the riskiest. You're dealing with older patients. A lot of times, well, not even a lot of times. I guess I should say this first. Right now, CLOV isn't profitable, right? Like, that's no secret. They've been increasing revenue. But most of these insurance companies, what's their goal? It's to get more and more lives under management. And the more lives you're managing, the more money you're bringing in, and then lowering your MCR. And then eventually now you become profitable and you're making money off of, the masses. And then you have the money to pay out when people need to be insured. And but it's all about gaining lives, right? For insurance. They want to sign up as many people as possible. And being a startup, or starting out, I should say, not really a startup, but, in the beginning phases like we are right now, they aren't profitable, but they do have enough cash on hand, I think, to get through like another year and a half if everything was to go exactly the way it is right now. However, they've been increasing revenue. And if they continue this trend, they're going to end up being profitable probably within the next 2 quarters, I would imagine. And that's going to change things a lot. And so you might have a lot of investors that are like, either need to be sold on the fact that we will be profitable down the road, or want to see that profitability before they jump in. Those ones I think are probably going to miss the boat. But, on top of that, there's this tech side, this AI side, which, as a disruptor, I mean, a lot of times those aren't always met with open arms, by institutional investors. At least not all of them. Like, even if you look back at, your Facebooks and your Amazons and everything else as they started up, Tesla's even, this is kind of like CLOV also fits into that realm, because it's not just an insurance company, right? You're talking about this technology that they have in the Clover Assistant and the applications that they could eventually, use this for. And they've already been showing that they're looking to expand and grow as a technology company. It's just, I think, a lot of times this gets met with skepticism from some big institutional investors who maybe don't understand or don't want to give the time to understand. And there's a lot of, knocks you can throw at it. Like I've seen some of the people saying that, like, hey, well, why would a doctor turn around who's been, going for X amount of years, all of a sudden turn around and spend more time inputting information in to the system to help the Clover Assistant and things of that nature. But, that's like, again, in my opinion, people saying, who's going to want to carry around a phone in their pocket? Why would you want to, just anything. Think about all the technological advances that have happened in just the last 2 decades or 3 decades. And the skepticism and criticism that they met originally. And yeah, you could sit there and try to fight it. But at the end of the day, you're going to lose. And I think that's kind of in the same line. Like some of these investors or some of these big institutions maybe don't understand it or don't see the benefit of it. But that's part of why even this expansion news yesterday was so big, because the more and more people that or doctors that start to use the Clover Assistant is just going to help in the long run in letting the AI grow. And, and then as they've already showed that they're willing to, they haven't already, to my knowledge, but lease out the software, which is where I think they're probably going to be heading, is actually using that software into other insurance applications. Not just for Clover Assistant, but even to their competitors, kind of like how Amazon does with AWS. And as they start to do that, now it really expands and grows and becomes even more powerful. So I don't necessarily think that they're holding back critical information or anything like that. I think it's just like those 2 things that I mentioned. I know I just talked for a ton of time, but basically they're not profitable yet, which we all know, and that might be one of the biggest things of why people might be not wanting to jump right in on it. And 2, this technology being a disruptor and everything, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. They may not see the benefit of it. All right. While I was sitting there talking, it looks like MRM is continuing to run. Already up 100%, but it looks like it's heading for a break this high right now. ATER is getting back up to this 1672. This is the big one today. I really do think that we're going to continue to see this run. If you're just joining, I shaved half of my position last night, somewhere in the high 17s. Held the other half overnight. I was expecting it to maybe continue on that kind of growth. I think we're going to see that once we kind of get up into the high 16s again. We might see that run that we saw in after hours yesterday, because a lot of that was gamma induced, options chain induced, and I think we're going to see a little bit more of that right now if we open up above 1650 and start running up towards 17. So this is kind of at least my big play of the day that I'm on, and I'm going to be watching. Let me just turn on. I got too many damn plays I'm looking at right now. There we go. Chef Daddy's in the house. What's up? Jawan says, if ATER does not go above 1793, it will go down to 10 straight up. When it gaps up like this, it does gap down, and it will make it back after 50 to 60% correction. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now too. Like ATER, well, now it's moving, but kind of what I was looking at was, now that we're above 17, I think we're going to see a little bit of that gamma squeeze that we saw in after hours yesterday. And this time, potentially, if it can break above 20, what the hell am I clicking right now? If it could break above 20 this time, I think it's got potential to move to 30. However, if it fails and starts heading down, then I'll be exiting the other half for sure. Janati says he was on the Spaces yesterday. Yeah, it's great stuff. Great stuff. Present Minds in the house. Yeah, so Pat M says, watching a story about Medicare insolvency, CLOV is positioned to answer that. Seems like they will have the numbers to bring profitability in the next few earnings reports. I think so too. I think with what we're seeing right now, now that they have the ability for that expansion, and the other big thing that I didn't mention right now, is the star rating, right? And if at any point we get ATER is getting hit hard right now, if at any point we all of a sudden get this increase in the star rating, that's going to make the company instantly profitable. And that's something that I don't know entirely too much about. I'm not going to lie there, but I know that once they do get that increase in star rating, I think they get like an extra $500 a month per Medicare patient. Which when you start thinking about how many members and lives they have under management, that would like instantly make them profitable. And that's something that could be happening too. And I mean, they just hired, I think we saw on LinkedIn, I want to say L Train sent it to me a while back. He found on LinkedIn that they were looking to hire a star director, like someone to come into the company just to work on them getting a star increase, and hire a team around it, and that was what they were going to be doing. So the company's definitely looking for that as well. And once that happens, which I'm pretty confident it will, just because when you think about what Clover is and what their mission is, and it's not about obviously every company's about profitability, right? But I mean, with them, it seems like they truly, genuinely are trying to help, and not just look at these lives under management as a check. And I think that that's going to help them with their star rating. I really do. I think that they have good intentions. If you listen to Vivek speak about this company, he you could tell that his heart's into it, and he's really all about it, and I would imagine that they're going to end up getting that star rating. I just don't know when. Noar says busy with food, what to watch today. Yeah, a couple different ones popped up, but MRM was one that was like early on the scanner. AMC popped up on my scanner, but it doesn't really seem to be. I mean, it's AMC and it's just moving all over the place. I put it on the watch list. See what happens. For me, the ones I'm going to be watching is obviously ATER. Huge. I want to know what the hell's going on here, though. We just saw a wick that went from $14 up to $17.13. That's pretty crazy. We're looking at a 1 minute candle now, but it looks like it got hit pretty hard right there, and it's starting to bounce back. I'm gonna keep this on a 1 minute view real quick, just so that I could see my. There we go. A little bit easier for me to look at, just because I'm gonna be looking for entries and exits. But yeah, ATER is one that I'm going to be looking at. ATER for sure. EAR, MRM. Those are kind of the three that I'm looking at. And then someone else called out Neuro, which I have up here right now, and looks like it's starting to move. And that popped up on our scanner as well. Along with it, there's so many plays. For me, if I had to pick three, because now we've talked about so many this morning, I would say, just based off what I'm looking at right now, I like what I'm seeing with neuro. I like MRM for an opportunity. And I'll be watching ATER. Those are probably my top three that I'm going to be paying attention to today. But AMHC is another one that also popped up that we were looking at as well. Sly Dev, good morning from Monterey Bay. Right on. I was actually in Monterey not too long ago. I want to say maybe about a month ago. And I actually did my morning stream from the Portola Plaza lobby because I was I don't know if you were on that morning or not, but I was out there for the weekend, and it was Monday morning. I had one extra day that we stayed out there, and so I just went down in the lobby. That's the hotel we were staying at, and I just streamed right there and did the morning stream. It was a lot of fun. I love Monterey. I'm not too far from there. Never heard your take on TMC, but saw someone thank you for your take on it. Just curious what you saw on that you didn't like, or was it just price action? I don't. We've been talking about so many tickers recently that it's kind of hard to remember too where we were at. But I think TMC, if we take this back, let me go the last 20 days just so we could see. There was a day that it was starting to rip up in after hours. I want to say it was around here that I had hopped in and got a little bit of this play. Or actually, no, it was over here because it was the day that we went on the run. And then when it started coming down, I want to say, and I could be completely wrong, it was on a stream and we were talking about TMC, and it was just one of those things where it looked like it was starting to lose momentum. And at the time, Max Payne, it was trading below Max Payne. And that's kind of why a lot of these I ended up killing, or like staying off of. We were looking at a lot of these plays the other day and trying to figure out. I want to say maybe it was even Monday morning. There's so many plays out there, and I started looking through Max Payne on a lot of them. No, you know what? It was Friday because that was the Max Payne day. And I just started looking through a lot of them, and it was like, okay, well, TMC has already been pinned back down below a Max Payne. OPAD's already on its way down below Max Payne, and just a lot of these other plays. And it's like, okay, let's try to target some that have already broken loose and they've lost control of, because we all know once you get around that Max Payne mark on a Thursday or a Friday, it's really hard to break out of it. And that's what I really like about ATER right now. One, Max Payne shouldn't make a big difference right now because the options don't expire until October 15th, I think October 15th is the closest one. So, but two, it's already well above there. It's at 10 right now. So I think it presents a pretty decent opportunity. We're trading 50% above it, and that's not to say they can't drive it back down, but I think if I remember correctly, that was the big reason why with TMC was because it had gotten pinned back down to that Max Payne level, and I wanted to get off of it. CLOV volume right now is I was looking at AMHC and I'm like, what the hell? 1.5 million. No, that's not right. Close at 218,000 right now. Does CLOV still have a gap fill today? I mean, potentially anytime we gap up or down, right? So currently we're looking to open at, let me see. We are looking to open at 796, which is going to be up here a little bit. Nah, not necessarily. I think we'll be fine. There's not going to be a huge gap or anything like that. Let's see, Scotty, what's up? Crazy pre-market action on ATER, yeah. Dadeo, what's up from rainy Toronto? It's raining out. It's still hot as hell right in California right now. I mean, it's like it's still, we're in mid 90s. You know, but it's kind of at this time of the year it's weird because it'll get like it'll be 100 one day and then all of a sudden you'll hit a week where it's starting to be like 70 degrees and then it'll go back to 90s and it's just like as the seasons are changing in September, October, we get some really crazy weather. Magesh, what's up? Says in the East Bay next door, right on. Thomas O'Connell, what's up? VN. Stock Hunter says, what do you set your market cap at in your scanner? I want to say I might have to. You know what? Send me if you can, send me a DM or something, and I'll look it up later. Just because I don't want to. It's been a while since I've messed with the settings. I don't want to go digging through there right now and trying to figure it out. But I'll definitely I'll get all the scanner settings and end up sending them out to you. Steve says Neuro's ripping. Yeah, it looks like it's ready for a little breakout too. Josh Stewart, good morning. Let's see. Zip Jester, what's up? Says be careful with EAR. Yeah, no, Chef Daddy. So what I'm looking at, what I talked about earlier was this, just playing off this gap down, right? I'm just thinking that at some point you're gonna see some volatility in here. Like we're gonna probably see an opportunity where, maybe this thing, I mean, it's down from 21 down to 835. This is again, like you said, risky, but I'm not looking to buy and hold anything here. I'm just looking for all of a sudden maybe some nice range where you'd be able to get in and out of something and have, you know, good move for like maybe like a 5 or 6% range throughout the day, maybe even 10% if it starts running and bouncing back and then falling down, and kind of like the opposite of what we saw with MRIN yesterday, where the stock gapped up tremendously and then it filled back down, it's still filling down now, but it's going to end up offering good opportunities to get in and out on this volatility throughout the day. So that's the thing with EAR. That's the only reason I'm watching it. I want to reiterate that. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's see. Ross Lowe dropping the CLOV moons. Michelle's asking for the scanner setup. All right, that's like you're like the fifth or sixth person too. So maybe I will do that. I was gonna get into the option strategies type thing, like next. And I just released like 3 videos of like beginner option strategies. But I got to do the scanner settings. I'm gonna write myself another note right now, because I have this notebook that I've been putting all these ideas in, but I'll get the scanner settings going a little bit sooner. Kenneth Wallace, what's up? What's a good free website for Max Payne and what scanners? All right, so we'll get the scanners up in a little bit. MaximumPain.com. It's free. It's just maximum-pain.com. That's the easiest one. You just pull it up. They also have like options information and you know other stuff on there. I mean, there's a ton of data on here, and again, it's all free. So that's typically what I'll go to just to get a quick glance. The other thing I was thinking about doing a video on too, because I've been seeing so many people talk about, you know, TA and drawing lines and doing all this other stuff. And really, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day about what I actually look for when I day trade. And for me, it's pretty simple. And I'll go ahead and throw something up with more volume right now. This is ATER. Whenever I'm day trading, I'm usually on a 1 minute chart. And I may end up doing a video about this sometime soon too, just to kind of break it down. There's so much more to it, but really, when I'm day trading, let me zoom in here. I'm really watching. I might have to move this over too. There we go. I'm using these 3 moving averages. So I'm using the 9 EMA, the 20 EMA, and then the 50 SMA. This pink line you see here is VWAP, right? Typically, when I enter into a trade, I want to see this green line, the 9 EMA, crossing above the 20. But I still also, to make sure it's bullish, I want this price action to be happening above the 50. So as you can see here, yeah, that's traded down, and I always talk about like finding these ranges and stuff. But if I was gonna day trade at ATER yesterday, this would have been like my first signal to get in, and potentially, you know, you could have did it there. But for me, I'm waiting for this now to cross above the 50. That's my entry point. It moved up, so that you figure that's from 1473. That's a 10 cent, you know, or you know, 14-cent move there to VWAP. If it busts through VWAP, now you got some more room. And then it crossed back down at 1488. But, you know, typically you would stop loss out in there and then wait for more opportunities. Here we see a better one. We crossed above there. Now I'm waiting for this break above the 50. My entry point would have been about 1444. And again, ride this thing all the way up to VWAP to 1483. Nice little trade in there. You know, and again, you're just waiting. Here we got the same movement. You could have jumped in at 1454. Doesn't go on as big of a run. Maybe you stop out somewhere in between there, but now you get another entry point. Same exact price action in here. And again, you know, and then if you look at the big trade, I wasn't day trading ATER yesterday, I'm just showing you how it would have worked. Bullish crossover the 50. I buy in. I probably would have took a little bit off at VWAP. But now look, I mean, we're just rolling, you know. And really the first signal to sell would have been way up here at 1830. So there's a lot more to it than that. Volume, RSI, everything else. But again, I had a friend of mine kind of, you know, ask me what I look for when I day trade, what indicators I use, all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of breaking it down a little bit yesterday. And so that was the other one that I was thinking that I probably should get to before I continue on to the option strategies, just because, you know, lately I've been doing a lot more day trading, and, you know, we're sitting here talking about, you know, which plays are going to be good ones to day trade today. Probably would make more sense to make some chalk talks about that. You guys let me know what you think, but that's for the most part, that's what I'm usually looking for when I'm doing that. Let's see, we got 5 minutes to the bell. You ever think about streaming on Twitch too? You know what? I don't know much about it. It's funny because I know like a lot of video gamers use Twitch, and I've never really looked into it. I've never even been on there, but it's fun. I got a funny story. I was in Reno, You guys that have been, watching the show for a while, I did that show in Reno. I was streaming in the hallway one day. So the dude, so I was in this, we had this room at the end of the hallway where you open the doors and then you get into your door. And so I was trying to like scope it out, like, okay, where can I stream tomorrow morning? And there was this little lobby in between our two doors to our rooms. And so the other dude comes walking in to check into his room. I didn't know him. And I was just like, hey, man, do you mind if I kind of use this little entryway right here to do a little live stream in the morning? He's like, no, don't worry about it, man. He's like, I'll be up at 4 a.m. too. He's like, I live stream every day. And I'm like, what? And it's just crazy because this dude was a streamer too. But he did video games and he did them on Twitch. And so we started talking about it and stuff. And I ended up not going in the hallway right there because it was too loud. It would have woke up my kids. And so I found somewhere else to go. But I just thought that was crazy that the dude that was staying across from me, just randomly was like a Twitch streamer. Ghost is in the house. What's up? What's going on? And let's see here. Sir Lucky Charms. Good morning. Present Mind says beginner's guide on how to day trade. Yeah, you know what? I kind of just I think I might go in that direction next. Just kind of like the very, very simple settings because so many people use so much other stuff, and like kind of like I was saying, I mean, I just gave you a quick 10-second rundown that probably is very useful and easy to use. And I mean, if you go through and play with just those little moving averages, like I was saying, that's a lot easier to learn than trying to draw lines and shapes and animals and come up with crazy names about stuff and everything else. It's like, dude, trading is really as simple as volume, learning a little bit about how to read candles, which usually comes with time and practice. And then for me, I use a couple moving averages here and there, but once you kind of get used to it, I can kind of turn all that stuff off. But if I'm still looking at a 1 minute candle and just kind of see the price action, it becomes that easy. But like that example that I just gave you, like if you could utilize those moving averages, and I like to use the EMAs because they move so much faster than the SMAs. So you're getting like, right to the, precise movements. To me, that's like the easiest way to start out day trading. And you really can't go wrong. I mean, I guess anything can go wrong. I shouldn't say it that way. But, if you use those lines that I was just talking about, the 9 EMA crossing over the 20, that's going to give you a decent entry point, especially if you're already above the 50. That's going to be bullish. And then, you could even use those as exit strategies on the way back down or set a stop loss. And that's kind of and then if you have your level 2 data, you can kind of see, like if I was day trading CLOV right now, which I'm not, I would expect some resistance at 803. So if I, let's say we were trending up right now and I got in at 793, well, 803 would have been a 10 cent gain already. So I see that there's 34,000 sitting on level 2 at 803. That's where I'm probably looking to get out, and that's so there's so much more into it, and the more you trade, the more tools you could start looking at and seeing what works for you. But at the same time, the less you're going to end up using too. It gets to a point to where like you get so much in the zone when you're trading that it's like, man, I don't got time to look at level 2, or man, I don't screw MACD. Like I don't look at MACD at all anymore. But there's just then there's going to be things that you're dependent on that you need to see on your charts if you're going to be trading. So DeGen is in the house. What's going on? We were just talking about the Twitter Spaces a little while ago. Those things have been awesome, man. They really have. So ATER, I think I just got stopped out. Let me check. Yes, I did. All right. So, all right. So I'll be looking at this one maybe for a bounce back, but at this point, I just got stopped out right now. At 1360 right here. And at this point, I don't know. I mean, it's really starting to get hammered down here. I still think it has this same potential to run, but I'll be looking for a breakout on this, you know, before getting back into it. But not a bad trade. I mean, I stopped out of my second half there for, basically break even. But that first half that I had in, I got out in the 17s, high 17s. That's almost a 30% profit, I think, or something along those lines. So, but I'm still bullish on this, and I'm going to keep watching and look for another opportunity to get back in. But that candle there was vicious, um, especially on a 1 minute mark. Whatever happened to circuit breakers? I mean, shit, that thing dropped way more than 10%. It looks like. Says, I think we hit some great topics on the Monday predictions. Was 3 for 3. China bailed out Evergrande, debt ceiling increase, no taper. Michael says, buy the dip on ATER. Yeah, it appears to be that way. Shit, I might too right now. This thing's moving. I don't know what that was. I mean, I'm already riding in profits on it. I might look to jump in if we get past well, you know what? This is a 1 minute chart. I'm gonna just flip this up real quick. Let's see. I'm gonna have to sign off here in a second anyways, but I would wait for this crossover maybe. So again, just like I was just talking about, wait for this 9 to cross over here. That would be my entry point. And really, we're still trading well below this 50 though. Really, I would, if I was day trading, I'm looking here. I just think it's hard, because on one hand, I'm glad I got stopped out at 1360. That's kind of the greed in me that wanted it to keep running. So I got out, still up huge on the play, but I want to get back in. I think this thing's going to keep running. I'm going to wait for this crossover here and wait for my entry point, but I do think this thing's going to run a little bit. I mean, because now you're looking at something that gapped down pretty much 14% after such a huge day. I think it might get some legs still. MRM is and Neuro kind of both look to be the big runners today though. A lot of volatility in this one too, in ATER. I mean, oh, I just realized I don't even have CLOV up. There we go. Looks like GME made a nice little spike off the open, up 2%. Looking at some of these other ones. What was the other play I was interested in? SDC, I just saw someone ask, is up 2%. GameStop looks like it might be ready to run though. I don't know. It's so hard looking at GameStop. You just see a nice big candle, and the next thing you know, it gets hammered down. And it's a lot like how CLOV price action's been. So we're kind of getting close to that point. You guys can kind of see it. I'm going to sign off here in a second because we'll go help my kids. They're taking their bicycles to school today, and they got this wheelathon or something like that. So I don't know. We got to go load up their bikes and do a bunch of other stuff this morning. But I want to see what happens here if we get to kind of this bullish crossover. I mean, that was such a huge wick that would have been a nice opportunity. But I'm playing with profits now, and I just want to try to play this correctly and see if all of a sudden we get this crossover that I'm looking for, and just exactly what I was just talking about a second ago. So I want to see the 9 cross over the 20, and eventually, because we're so close to VWAP, probably even break through there, and that'll be my indicator that this thing's gonna move a little bit and run. But that is a huge range. I mean, you're talking about this thing move from $13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13 to 14.71, so almost $2 in this opening candle. Again, we're looking at a 1-minute chart right now. I mean, that's a 5-minute right there, and that's a huge candle. And it does look like it's trying to push through VWAP right now. So it's got a $2.35, is what we're down today on the day. Opened up at 14, so it does have a gap to fill, which would put it somewhere up here if it tried to. I missed some of this stuff. Let's see. Ghost says BB looks. I know I'm way behind too. I probably missed out on whatever you're talking about right there. Oh yeah, BB's starting to pop a little bit too. So it looks like in BlackBerry kind of follows. Wow, SDC's popping right now too, up 3.5%. Looks like AMC up 3%. The SPY is starting to pop right now. Gonna be an interesting day. Champ 5 specialty Fisker running up 14% this week. Okay. All right. MRM is still going. Wow. That's crazy. Where did we see this at? I mean, I didn't get a piece of this action, but somewhere in here, I mean, I could see where maybe some nice entry points would have been back here at 13, and this thing's already at 18. That's pretty crazy. If anybody jumped on that one, I hope you're making some money in there. Keep your stop losses tight. Yeah, it looks like SDC starting to move a little bit. All right, guys. So I'm gonna sign off right now, but I'm looking for a re-entry on ATER right now. Hopefully, if we get kind of this crossover, maybe I might even wait for like a push through VWAP with volume. Really, this is kind of below where I want to be trading at. I usually don't want to get in on something below this 50-day SMA. And if it trades sideways a little bit longer, what'll happen is this SMA will come down. Maybe I'll even get that same entry point all at once. But usually I want to see this crossover and be above the SMA, and then VWAP will either serve as a support or resistance. Right now it's serving as resistance. But I'm gonna be looking to get into this one at some point today once I see this nice crossover. And I do think that it has the potential to run with legs today, like it did in after hours yesterday. However, I don't want to force nothing, so I'm gonna be holding back on this one and waiting, because it could just as easily fall, just as it started out yesterday. I think we got in somewhere in that $13 range. So, yeah, definitely be careful here. Again, other plays I'm watching, it looks like some of these meme stocks are starting to move. BlackBerry's running. AMC looked like it was running and it got a hit. Now GameStop's getting hit, so they're all kind of coming down at the same time, including CLOV. Wow, it looks like everything I'm looking at right now is getting hit pretty hard. Except for BlackBerry. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. Those of you that are still here, appreciate it. We'll be back on tomorrow morning. Good luck in the markets today. Hopefully, again, that watch list for today in terms of volatility. I'm looking at MRM, AMC, ATER, RKLY, EAR, MRIN, and then we added in neuro. But for me, if I had to narrow it down to three, which is what we kind of talked about earlier, I'm going to be watching ATER, MRM, and also the other one that I really wanted to, keep an eye on today was neuro, NURO. I think that's got some room for some explosive moves as well. So those are going to be my top three. I know I just rattled off like 10 that I'll be looking at, but those are the ones I'll be really trying to focus on. Rick's asking about my VWAP settings. Let me see. I'll show you right now. It is, -2 and 2. Yep. There you go. All right, guys. See you later. Also, before we sign off, don't forget to get your picks in. For the survivor pool. I think we're entering into week 3. If you want to pick tonight's matchup, it's available on there. If not, don't. I know it's only Thursday, but there is a game tonight. So, if you want to pick that one, don't forget who is playing tonight. We almost went through a whole show without talking about football. So tonight's the Panthers and Texans. All right. So if you're interested in that matchup, make sure you get your pick in tonight. Otherwise, make sure you get your survivor picks in before Sunday. All right, guys. See you later. Have a good day.